Alright, so this video is going to get a quick introduction because it's been in the making since the 7th, I think. Yeah, because my disc blade showed up on the 5th, started working on it on the 5th. I think I worked on it the 5th and 6th, made the first video, and then the second video was started back on May 7th, and that's been taking this long to get all the shit together to actually finish that damn disc. And you'll get the 3 different versions of the story as to why if you watch throughout the video, but long story short, finally got the disc finished today. It was an interesting adventure. The Rona really fucked everything up. So the last 4 blades I needed just literally finally showed up today. So well, actually last night, but either way, it's all together. We're good to go. So if you want to get the whole story, you're just going to have to go through the whole video. I know it gets kind of long, but oh boy, I was frustrated right there toward the end. As you can see, this week I also got the duals put on Stumpy. She's ready to go out and start spreading fertilizer. So we got somewhere between 1 inch and 1.25 inches of rain last night, judging by where the water's standing and how much I know it takes to start filling the spots that are standing full of water. I don't have my gauge out yet because it's still getting close enough to freezing. I don't want to break the gauge, so I haven't put that out yet. But we're not really to the point where we need to start measuring rainfall. We're not too worried about it yet. So hopefully by next weekend we'll be able to start spreading fertilizer. Now if the disc is together, hopefully by next weekend it dries out enough we can go down and get the muck busted open so that it can start drying out. Because I want to disc it before I spread fertilizer on it, because I don't want to work the fertilizer too much and have it down too deep. So that's kind of the plan looking forward. With the disc being done, really the last big thing I got to work on is the white, which hopefully that will happen tomorrow. I'm thinking I can get her done in a day. It'll probably be a long day, but I think as long as everything goes all right and I don't find anything else stupid wrong, hopefully I'll get that done in a day. If not, it'll definitely be done Sunday. So that'll be out of the way, and then I can quit stressing out. I took today off work because I was initially going to go look at a truck. Well, that didn't turn out, so I ended up finishing the disc, which is 3-day weekend is going to help me out getting stuff done anyway, because I got some yard work at home I'd like to get done too, so it'd be nice to have all the shit done so that I don't got to stress and I can get that done and get on with spring. Because the last thing I got to do is I got to fix the acre counter on the drill and fix 2 bearings on the planter and then just calibrate those. So you got a leisurely weekend doing that once my seed shows up, which is hopefully going to be here in the next couple weeks. I got to talk to my buddy and see when that's supposed to, or when I'm going to be seeing that. But anyway, yeah, just wanted to do a quick, here we finally are on the disc introduction. That's basically how things are going to pan out from here. Also, I mentioned in the last video that Morley's had pictures of the 1800 pulling the disc. We know they're there, he just can't find them yet. So as soon as I get them, I'll get them scanned and work them into a video so that you can see the 1800 pulling the disc back when they were both new, back in the 60s. So I was hoping to have them in time for this video, but it's not going to happen. But at the end of this video, I have the 1800 hooked on the disc just because they kind of belong together. So anyway, I guess that's really all we need for an introduction here. So I guess we will start out back on the 7th when I started working on the wings. So here we go. All right, so getting all started. I only got a little bit of time to dink with this today because I had to go get groceries this morning and call Sloan and call Mayboss. So Sloan actually did not, well, their inventory must have been off because he said they were short blades, but they ended up drop shipping me 4 blades from their supplier in South Carolina, I think is where he said, on that order. So it all came as part of the same order, but they're coming from 2 different places to fill the order. Would have been nice if they left a note or put like a note on the bottom of the invoice saying, hey, these blades are coming from somewhere else, or yada yada yada, so you don't think that they shorted you blades. But anyway, they didn't screw up as bad as I thought. Their inventory was off. How the hell you have that happen? I don't know, because all you gotta do is count them. But anyway, and then I called Maybaugh on the counterbalance springs for the wings, and those are no longer available, and they don't even show up in parts warehouse, so there's no used ones available. So I'm gonna have to find a parts disc to get the counterbalance springs off of, and there's actually some, they call them wing lift levers, but they're levers that go in the place of where that bolt is on mine to and there's an eye bolt that tensions the spring, and then the lever's extra long, so you got something to hold on to flip the wing over. So I'm gonna have to find the springs, those levers, and the eye bolt. And I need springs off of a wing that's 4 blades, because the 5 and 6 blades use a longer spring. So yeah, but anyway, on to this. I got to get this retaining cap off. This is not the nut. The nut is actually an irregular hex nut. But all this does is it's got the recess in it for a locking plate, so you bend the tabs over and lock the nut, and then this is keyed onto the axle shaft. Now it's made like an 1/8 turn, and now the key is right there instead of in the key slot. So actually it looks like that nut's kind of screwed because the hole's out around. That axle's clear offset up here. So once I get that cap off, I'm gonna have to replace it with one off one of the other axles, because that one's junk. But hopefully I got this thing clamped down in some V-blocks, and it's strapped, and hopefully it doesn't turn. And if I get on it with a wrench and hopefully smack it with a hammer to shock it, although the fact that that's all packed full of shit is not gonna let it want to turn, so I might have to figure out a way. I don't want to use a drill bit because it looks like it's all dirt, and I don't want to ruin a, unless I could find a junk bit. But might have to get that key slot cleaned out, so it'll give the key a place to turn into. So I'm gonna see what I can come up with to clear that hole real quick. And hopefully, if I get that hole clear, we can just get on it with a wrench and smack it with a hammer to shock it and break the rust, and it'll spin to where it needs to be, and we can just pull this apart. In theory. I forgot we had some old junk-ass wood bits in with my dad's. This is a throwback for you. This is a really, really old 12-volt Milwaukee that still works. The chuck's junk, but the drill still works. Batteries don't hold the charge for that long, but when they do, it still works. I think this one was even made in the United States. This one, made in USA. Focus, damn it. Anyway, trust me, it says it right there. Back when, you know, the United States could still make tools. Then you got this one, probably made in China. Fucks. Of course, Milwaukee, Ryobi. Who else? There's like 3 or 4 different tool brands now that are all made in the same factory. But anyway. This is why I wanted to not use a good drill bit. Because that is all dirt. Now maybe... Okay, in theory, on paper, because everything looks good on paper, that should let it turn, I hope. So, we're gonna need a big wrench. Here's hoping. I don't have high hopes, but here's hoping. This would be one where the damn bearings weren't locked up. Shoot. Back to the drawing board. Okay, I had to move you back out of line of fire. I still can't get it to move. The key itself in this cap only goes back to the end of these scallops. It's not back here in the round. I'm hoping if I pour some heat into these scallops and get that thing to grow a little bit. Otherwise, what I might do is just throw the torch back on, and since this cap is junk anyhow, just eat that key out with the torch and get it off that way. Something in there sizzling. You prick. I think I'm gonna have to cut it. I don't know what the hell they did, but they got her wedged good. Well, we were successful. Tell you what, that was my first time ever torching cast iron. That shit is weird. It doesn't, you know, you're torching on regular steel, you warm it up and then it creates a plasma stream, and when you hit it with the oxygen, it just starts carrying out and it cuts like it, you know, like you'd expect it to cut with a torch. Not cast iron, it doesn't do that at all. It like, I don't know if it was because I was trying to heat such a large surface area or what, but you'd get it hot and it'd blow a little bit out and then it'd cool while you were cutting, and then you'd get it hot and you'd blow a little bit out and it wouldn't create a plasma stream. And you know, like you're watching all the old steel mill videos from the 30s and 40s and 50s when they're dumping a ladle into a mold, into an ingot mold, and there's the little sparkly things look like 4th of July sparklers flying all over the place. It does that really bad. Weirdest thing I've ever seen. It took me 15 minutes to gouge all that out because it's just such a... But on the upside, it does not appear, other than the fact that the threads are all full of shit, that it hurt the axle that much. Obviously gonna want to chase them threads. I gotta call Dad and see if he can get a die, or if he has a die for 1 1/8. And yeah. So that's a little toasty. I guess I can get this axle the rest of the way apart. And I guess tomorrow we can at least get a couple axles put together with the blades I got. And hopefully, he said, the guy at Sloan said that I should see my last 4 today or tomorrow. So hopefully that holds true. But anyway, I gotta get this shit cleaned up and get home and get some lunch and get ready for work. So at least that project's done. Okay, well, I just went through and got all the threads cleaned up on the stub axles. Surprisingly, the worst one is not the one that I had to cut the nut off, or cut the end cap off of. It was this guy here. Those are looking a little rough, but actually there was pretty much no threads there when I started. I had to freehand them in. But they cleaned up, or came back halfway decent, and the nut threads on there pretty much by hand, surprisingly. So we'll try it, and if it pops the threads, I guess I'm making a new axle. But we did not have a die for that, and they're not long enough to stuff through the lathe and pick up in a single point in. So I had to use this guy, which I didn't even know Dad had this until he told me. It's actually a thread file for cylinder glands and nuts, which is handy. And you almost need one of these things when you're doing cylinders, because they use, everybody's got their own proprietary shit anymore. But they it lets you, it's got stuff to do, or it's got cutters to do 60-degree thread, acme thread, buttress thread, and square thread. But it's just like that. And then the little guys here. So you basically, that's a 60-degree wheel. You just go in and you freehand the threads back in until they work. So anyway, get all this stuff put back and clean the bench up, and I think we can throw a couple axles together. Alright, since I only got enough parts at the moment to do 2 axles, I'm just going to do the fronts. That way I don't have to get set up to mill out the end nuts. Because I'm not going to, since the hole's smaller, I'm not going to bother putting washers on these feathering discs. Not that it's going to do any good, but anti-seize never hurts. Although the one beef I have with anti-seize is the fuckers never make the brush long enough that you can actually reach the bottom of the jar. So you always end up with a bunch at the bottom that you can't get to. just the cutest little disc gangs you've ever seen in your life. But the threads didn't strip out, so that's always good. Those two are going to be the challenge. But we can't figure that out till I get my last 4 blades, because I need at least one more to put another axle together. So I guess with the remaining time I got before I need to go to work, I guess I'll get the mill set up and I'll get the clearance cut in those caps. I gotta go up to the pallet of parts and get another one, because I just had to cut the one off of there. And probably do some measuring and see what I need for angle iron to make those struts that tie the wings together when they're unfolded. Although technically in the manual it does not call these wings, it calls them gang extensions. But we're going with wings. But anyway, I guess you guys know how milling that out works, so there ain't no sense in showing it again. So I guess we will catch you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we can put something together. He said my blades were supposed to be here either yesterday or today. So hopefully today. But it's also supposed to rain tomorrow. We got chances of rain tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. So I knew our good weather streak couldn't last forever. Now it's going to get wet and soggy again. Just about the time it was starting to dry out enough to possibly think about doing something. But anyway, we will catch you guys tomorrow. Okay. Well, I think it's been, shit, a little over 2 weeks since I've screwed with this thing. Last thing I did to it, which I didn't get video of because somebody who shall remain nameless, but she stands about 1.5 feet tall, has blonde hair, brown eyes, and a little black nose, chewed up the power cord for the charger for my GoPro, and I didn't have a battery that day because that was the day that my new cord was supposed to show up, so I couldn't record it. But I made new bushings for the wings and tightened the wheel bearings and greased them. The wheel bearings are going to have to get replaced next year. These two aren't bad. These two, actually, I think the wheel bearings in them are fairly new, because they had brand new cotter pins in them, and the bearings don't look that bad. That side has had water in it, and the very far dual is the worst one. It was pretty rough, but it's kind of it's pretty growly when you turn it, but it'll make it through the little bit I want to get done this season, and then next season we can put brand new wheel bearings in it. And when I did the bushings in the wings, apparently the day they put these things together on the original disc, the setup guy wasn't paying attention, because I took the bolt out of this side, and the hole in this plate and the hole in this plate were both just punched for a 5/8 bolt, and they had a 5/8 bolt in it. It's like, well, shit, I'm gonna have to tear this thing all apart and drill one of these holes out to accept the bushing so that you could actually tighten the bolt all the way up. So they just had the bolt running loose in there. So I started on this wing. It's like, well, shit. So I went and got that wing done, got that wing done, got up to this wing here. And this one had a bolt in it with 2 bushings. Somebody had taken and put 2 of the on-size plates and put them over there and put both of the bushing plates on here. So all I had to do was I took the plate off of here and the plate off of there and swapped them, and everything worked out all right. So some of the stupid stuff you find working on this shit. But anyway, the project for today, oh well, first off, let me explain this. This is the part that's pissed me off a little bit. As you can see, it doesn't got blades on the wings yet, and if you recall earlier in this video, at least I think I explained it 2 weeks ago when I started putting the wings together, they had shorted me 4 blades because their Sloan stock was off, and they had to drop ship some from their supplier in South Carolina. Well, what happened, actually, they were supposed to ship, I think, that Monday that I started making the second part of this video. So, or no, they were supposed to show up that Monday I started making the second part of this video. Well, they didn't show up that Monday. It's like, all right, maybe they got hung up. Didn't show up Tuesday. Didn't show up Wednesday. Called Sloan Thursday. It's like, what the hell's going on? They told me these things are supposed to be here Monday. Oh, well, let me call and see what's going on. He called down there. They're not going to ship till this Monday. So 2 weeks from when they told me they were going to be here, they're going to ship. If they don't, which this is Sunday, they're supposed to ship tomorrow as of when this video is being made. If they don't ship, I'm going to be pissed. It is ridiculous that something as simple as disc blades have been affected by this whole damn thing. It's just... I can't even explain how pissed off this makes me. Stupid. But anyway, the project for today, which is what this angle iron here is for, is to make the braces or struts, whatever you want to call them, that connect the front and rear wings together when they're unfolded so that they're tied together. And they need to be on there because the way the wings hook on this thing, this entire gang is only hooked to the disc frame with a bolt here and a bolt here, and that basically just helps support the extra added stress of all that extra 2 foot hanging out there. It's basically the same thing they got going on here in the center. You just move it out. And the original ones were 2 pieces, and they had holes drilled in the center, and you bolted them together in the center based on your gang angle, because you can angle these gangs. The front and the rear both have 4 angle settings. Well, I got it set on the 3rd most aggressive setting. I'm probably never going to move it because of what I'm doing with it. So, and I looked trying to find somebody that had one of these things that had the original braces. Could not find anybody to get me pictures and dimensions. So rather than making them 2 pieces and trying to guess, I'm just going to make them 1 piece. And if I ever do move them, I'll just punch a second set of holes and it'll be a little extra long. But because when they were original, they had a hole here and a hole here, just one on each end for the pin in the gang, and then they cut them in half, and there was overlap in the center, and they had like 4 or 5 different sets of holes on each half in the center, and you slid them together and rebolted them based on your gang angle. Well, kind of hard to do if I don't have anything to copy. I mean, you could do it, but I would have to basically go through and mimic every gang setting to figure out the hole spacing, and it ain't worth it for what I'm doing. So we're just gonna make them 1 piece, basically, is what I'm getting at. So I guess get it slid up there, and I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Okay, so this is what we're shooting for, but I lied to you. I thought those things were 2 pieces when I looked in the parts book. They're 3. I went back and looked at the parts book just so that I could see what they had going on there, and yeah, they got that, and that ties them both together. So we might have to try to mimic this, because the worst thing about doing it 1 piece like that is the gangs aren't perfectly level to each other, which over the years they're gonna get twisted and whatnot just from use. It's just gonna happen, and you basically gotta kick it in there with your foot, which is gonna be kind of shitty. So we might have to try to mimic this the best we can. Because it shouldn't be that hard. Because this hole spacing here should be the same as this hole spacing here. So I'm wondering, because I've got the old pull angles off of that other disc. Basically, they're these pieces. And I'm wondering if I use those and cut them in half. Obviously, the front's shorter and the back's longer. I have, because this right here, this piece, I'd take this out with me, but it's kind of breezy. It's going to blow everywhere, so we're just going to keep walking back and forth. That piece is the same as these, and I got 4 of these on the other wing. About the only thing that sucks is if I did use those other angles, because that's 2x3 and or 2.5x3, and I just had Dad get me some 2.5x2.5. So in order to make it match up, what I'd have to try, just to make it look half-assed decent, I'd have to take the 3-inch or the 3-inch leg and probably just saw it off to make it even. But that would have the correct, if I did that, I would have the correct spacing back here. I would have the correct spacing up here. I could clip these corners. I think we can copy this to an extent. I think we can make this happen. I'm gonna go grab my pallet of shit. So this is one of the original center, like along the center of the frame. One of the original angles off of that 241 that I tore apart for parts. I think we can make this shit work. The only difference that I see, well, obviously gonna be a lot of difference if we do some cutting and modifying here, but in the picture they show 4 holes in the front and 4 holes in the back, and there's 3 here and 2 here. So I would have to come in and basically just this hole spacing, just punch 2 more holes here, and I'd have to come back off of here and punch 1 more hole here. And then basically find a happy spot somewhere around here, just a little bit one side of center, lob it off, and then basically what I would end up having is, instead of this short piece with a bunch of holes, I would have a longer piece with a set of holes back here and a set of holes up here. And basically for right now, what I would do is just punch 1 set of holes in it. And if we ever change the angle of the disc, add holes as needed. Which some of it will be, yeah, I think we can make this shit work. Basically is what I'm getting at. Well, that's the best copy I could come up with without actually having an original one to copy. One thing I'm still gonna have to do yet is I gotta weld these holes shut, because the 241 used a different, they had an extra thing that went here on the main frame that this disc does not use. So I need to weld them holes shut, and I need to come back here and clip a 45 on this so that it gets rid of the knee knocker. But other than that, I think we're pretty much good to go in that respect. I just need some blades so I can put the wings together the rest of the way. And sorry I didn't show more of it. I would just kind of started working on it and got in a groove, and I was enjoying myself. And I already made one video today of finishing up the soil finisher, and I just kind of didn't want to have to screw with the camera, so I just went ahead and finished them. Now the only thing I got to figure out is where the holy hell you store them when the wings are folded up. So we got the manual for this thing. I'm gonna have to dig that out and take a look-see and see if it mentions the storage spot for these bastards. But anyway, it's getting kind of dark out, as you can tell, so I'm gonna hurry up and get everything put away, and I got to get the soil finisher video up or put together tonight, get that uploading. So I guess we will catch you guys whenever I get parts to finish this bastard up, hopefully midweek. Eater. I wonder if she's going to end up with German Shepherd ears, because she's got one that's trying to stand up now. That's a new thing, like in the last day or two. But anyway, y'all ain't going to believe this shit. After ordering all the parts for this disc on the 3rd, I guess not all the parts, I had the bearings and stuff before that, but after ordering the blades from Sloan's on the 3rd, here we are on March 26th, and they finally showed up! Although, they sent 6 instead of the 4 I needed, so... And I just had a heart attack because they were supposed to ship Monday, which was what, the 19th? Whatever Monday was, they were supposed to ship, and Tuesday they weren't here. Yesterday I called, and actually, what day was it? No, Tuesday. I had to call twice. Tuesday I called, asked, hey, could you guys get a tracking number or something to find out if these things shipped out of South Carolina? The guy said, I'm gonna have to call the distributor, I'll get back with you. Well, he never called me back, but I got an email with a tracking number. Yesterday, when I got to work, I checked my email to see what was going on, and I checked that tracking number, and it said that my blades had been delivered to Williamstown or something like that, Florida. That's no good. So yesterday on first break while I was at work, I called back over to Sloan and said, hey, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I never got a call back, but they did email me a tracking number that said my damn blades are now in Florida. All right. So he said, all right, I'll get back with you. I'm going to have to look into this because it's a different guy. And by lunchtime, well, it'd be dinner time. I'm working second shift, but by my lunch hour yesterday, I had another email that says, hey, you got the wrong tracking number yesterday. It says your blade showed up at 2 o'clock. What are you getting into? Hey, you don't need to be chewing on that. So, got home last night, and sure enough, had 2 boxes of blades soaked because we got like an inch of rain last night. So I just tore the boxes off and threw them in the garbage and threw the blades in my truck this morning because there wasn't nothing left of the boxes. But anyway, instead of the 4, they sent me 6. So I got an email back out to the guy that I was talking to yesterday saying, hey, do I need to send you 2 blades back? Because as far as I know, I didn't get charged for them, and that's $50 worth of blades. So if I did get charged for them, I'm going to be kind of salty, because what do you do with 2 spare disc blades? You can't, unless it breaks right away, anytime, they're going to, yeah. If they just say, screw it, just keep them, I'll keep them, but I really don't want to be charged for them because they're just going to sit here. I don't need them. But anyway, I guess with that being said, I got to grind a little bit of paint off and get my washers welded on and get those last 2 axles put together. And even though it is a real shitty, I mean, this is a really shitty day outside. It's not raining, but it might as well be. the weather said it was supposed to be 50 degrees and sunny today. I don't see that happening unless it happens late this afternoon. But I really just want to get this damn disc put back together and get this project wiped off the slate. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it together, even though it's really shitty out. So I'm going to get these other two axles put together. These two are the ones with the threads are a little boogered up. So hopefully the nut holds. If not, going to be bringing one of the long axles down and cutting it and threading it. But anyway, if everything goes right, I'm just going to get these two axles put together off camera, bring the disc down, and we'll catch you when we're ready to start putting the axles back on the wings. So we'll catch you guys in a little bit. Well, we are finally... Teeter, you're eating a dead worm, and that's nasty. Anyway, we are finally ready to set our axle or gang axles back on. Wing axles, not gang axles. Before I put the blades and everything back on and they got super duper heavy, I wanted to go through, because when these things are unfolded, there's a pin that goes through this hole and locks them in with the main gang, so that they don't try to float up. They actually push down into the ground with the rest of the disc. Well, I'm assuming just out of age and everything being twisted and not quite straight anymore and yada yada yada, the holes didn't line up anymore. Why they made these holes on sides are, well, they're clearance for 5/8, but they're really tight clearance for 5/8. So I tried loosening, I on that front gang there, before I went into anything, I loosened all the bolts up. Tried just thinking maybe, hey, everything got tightened up wrong. Maybe if I loosen all this up, slide the pin in, tighten it all back up, everything will be... Now, it didn't work. The holes were still too far off, so my initial plan was I was just gonna unfold the wings, find a bit that fit through here, use the outside plate for a drill guide, and just drill the holes out. Well, I tried that. Drill bit wouldn't touch it. So, all right, this is interesting. So plan B was I put a carbide burr bit in the die grinder and came in here, and this is the only one I did that way, and it took me about 10 damn minutes to grind out just a little bit on both sides to make the pin slide through on the inside plate. It's like, all right, I need to do this 6 more times, and I'm going to be here for a month of Sundays doing it that way. So as much as I didn't want to, I ended up taking each and every one of the... Well, I didn't do these because they already were done with the die grinder, but I took the other 6 plates off and put them in the mill. And holy shit, not even an end mill wanted to touch them. Like, I had to work to get a die grind, or to get a carbide bit in the die grinder to cut this. I had to work to get a carbide end mill to cut them. I don't know what kind of unobtainium they stamp them bastards out of, but they are hard. It's not even a case hard. They're hard all the way through. I don't know what the hell they made them things out of, but holy shit. So, anyway, I went through, got them all where you can just unfold the wing and slide the pin in. Were you up where you didn't belong? But anyway, so I get all the pins in them now just by flopping the wing. Don't gotta fight them. You just flop the wing open, slide the pin in, and you're good to go. And with that, we're ready to set the axles on. But my lunch is here, so we're gonna do that first. Job's a little easier when gang only weighs a quarter as much. Kinda. That makes that disc look freaking huge. That was much needed. And they are a mite bit heavy. I can't remember if I don't think I talked about it ever since this whole project's been strung out so long. I can't remember what I have and haven't talked about, but I was hoping, as meant, because they built these discs from, I think they came out in 1966, clear up through the 80s. They built the 250 series disc. They went from Oliver clear through to, they became a white, and they started painting them red. So they built them for at least 20 years. And I was hoping, as many of these things as they built, there would somewhere be some new old stock parts laying around to put counterbalance springs on it to make them easier to fold up. And now, no such luck. There wasn't even anything in Parts Warehouse. So probably gonna have to at some point find a parts disc that's got the parts on it that I need to put the springs on. But unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, because I think the 2-foot wings like this, they're not even wings. They call them gang extensions in the book because they're not wings. They literally just bolt on the gangs, but we're calling them wings. The 2-footers like this are probably actually the more common set to find, but the 2-foot, or what they call the 4-blade, they made a 4-blade, a 5-blade, and a 6-blade. I can't imagine what it's like manually folding up a 6-blade, because that'd be 6 foot. No, it would be 5 foot. Because 4 blades is 2 foot. 5 blades would be probably, it'd be 2.5. 2 3/4, somewhere in there. So a 6-blade would probably be about 3.5, 4 foot. Probably closer to a 4-foot wing. But anyway, I can't imagine how those have to be some heavy bastards. But the 5 and the 6-blade gang extensions used longer springs than the 4-blade. That being said, I think the 4-blade are the more common ones to find, so hopefully coming up with the right parts down the road, it won't be that hard. But for now, they'll do the job. You just got to heave-ho to get them bastards up over center. But anyway, now all I got left to do is put the scrapers on. So now I gotta remember which ones are fronts and which ones are rears. Like I say, they aren't too bad. You just gotta put some ass into it. The back ones are actually worse because on the front ones, the axle's offset toward the pivot, and on the back ones, the axle's offset away from the pivot, so you got more weight hanging out on the end. And that's how you can tell the difference between a front and a rear gang. Is the front, these pieces are further out from the end, and on the back they're closer to the end. And you know it's one of your pieces of equipment when you actually put some of your own blood onto it. I think it was that one right there. I got all the scrapers in and I went to spin the blade or spin the axle over to make sure everything was going to turn over okay, and nicked my knuckle there with the corner of the blade. But that part's done, thank God. I was beginning to wonder if I was going to have it ready to go down and break the muck open or not. But since I got plenty of time, I think the next thing I'm going to try to tackle is I'd really like to add about 2 foot onto that tongue. Like I said, I think I talked about it at the beginning of my part 1 of this video, or this little project. Those fucking geese are about the most annoying little pricks. I tell you what. But anyway, I guess I'm gonna grab a tape measure. It's actually just looks like 2 pieces of, looks like 2.5 by 2.5 angle. They just welded together in a box. So maybe if I get lucky, we got a hunk of box tube that'll just slip fit over that, hopefully. Because like I said, I don't want to modify the original tongue. That way, if you ever want to take this shit off, all you gotta do is pull a bolt out and put the clevis back where it belongs. But if I can move this out, probably ought to go back and measure the 19 and figure out exactly how much I need to be able to make it or cut a full swing without the dual smacking the frame. Because those radials are too expensive to be knocking lugs off. So we're gonna get this measured up, see what I can find for material, and go from there. Okay, it's only the 3rd time I've tried to film this part, and every time I've had somebody show up and interrupt me. So we're gonna try this again. We did not have a piece of box tube big enough to just slide over the tongue on the disc like I was hoping. But found this piece of 3x3, which is the same size as the tongue that's on it. And had some 2.5 by I think it's 3/8 or 2.5 by 1/4. Either way, we had this 2.5 flat stock that slides in here real nice and will slide inside the tongue real nice. So basically, I had to radius the edges to get it to come up flush with the edge of the box tube. But basically, just gonna come in here, weld this in like so, right about there, and I'll punch a couple holes either side of here so that I can weld these right here and then plug weld them in the side of the box tube, and then punch my cross hole here, probably weld a pipe in between them for stability, and then this all will slide into the front of the tongue that's currently on the disc, and then the original clevis will be down here. So basically, if you ever wanted to take it all back off, you just pull the bolt here, take this off, and put the clevis back where it belongs. What would have been nice was if we had some 2.5 by 2.5 box tube that would have slip fit in here. That way I had a box cross section to slide in there, but we didn't have it. Well, we have a piece, but it's only 16th wall, 8th wall. It ain't very heavy. So I'm not going to use it. So this will work just as well for what it's doing, especially if I weld a piece of pipe across the center of it to give it lateral support. So first thing I'm going to do, chuck this up in the mill, put my new hole for the clevis, put holes down here to weld. Going to weld these in before I drill them. That way I don't have to worry about trying to get them lined or get the holes lined up and then weld everything together and hold it steady. I can just weld them both in, then punch the hole and everything's already in line. So that's the plan. Well, there it is. Hopefully it don't come apart. I think we'll be all right. It's pretty stout. And I was impressed. We even had bolts that would work to replace the original one. Well, there you go. 2 foot of hitch extension and 2 foot of hose extension. That way, if you ever take the extension off, rather than having to replace the whole hose, you just uncouple them right there. They're just pipe to pipe connection. That way you can thread your couplers right back on the end of the hose, and the original hoses are still there. So I did end up having to take the extension back off after I quit filming because somebody showed up, and I just hurried up and got it done while they were here. But and somebody's whining because they just tried to go across the road, so now they're on their cable. And she's wrapping herself around the pole. Don't whine, you did this to yourself. You stay home. Yeah, you stay home. But anyway, there was a bunch of slop in it, and by the time you translated it all the way out to the end, it was probably moving up 2 inches, which was probably going to make the disc pull real stupid. So I ended up taking a piece 1.5 inch by 3/16 flat stock and welded it in here to take up the gap. And then I had this thing running, or when you ran it level, the hitch was like clear the hell. If it followed the same line as the tongue, the hitch was like clear the hell down here. So I had enough slop in it. I just butted it right up against the pipe up here at the top, and then at the bottom I actually pushed it out a way to take up all the slack, and it took that extension and kicked it up. And for all intents and purposes, now the hitch clevis is the same height that it was at when it was mounted here, so I didn't lose anything. So that worked out pretty good actually, and it took all the slop out right here, so it's nice and solid. So now we can turn with the duals and not hit the frame. So, and I figured for the last part of this video I'd hook it on the 1800, since that tractor pulled that disc when they were both brand new, obviously without the wings, but at 95 horse she'd still pull it with the wings on. It plays with it when it's 12 foot, but with the wings on, it'd pull it in unworked ground probably just fine, since it's not weighted without duals. But pulling it in work ground, you're probably gonna want duals. So I'm probably gonna work weak ground with the 1800 this fall, just so I can pull a disc with it, just because it'd be cool if time allows. But anyway, starting to run out of daylight, and I need to get stuff put away and get the shop cleaned up and get this video uploaded yet tonight, since we've only been waiting 3 weeks to get it done. 4 weeks, I can't even remember, close to 4 weeks. So anyway, I guess that is it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.